Hello everybody, today I have an interesting item here to take a look at. This is a Sylvania GTE Gro Lux plant grower fixture. As it states here, it comes with a 2-foot fixture and a single high intensity lamp. Note high intensity lamp, we'll come back to that once we open this thing up. It comes with a stand and obviously you put it above your plants and it helps your plants grow. Now this I picked up at the Restore recently for $5, complete in its box here, at least as complete as I think it is. It is used. Somebody bought this way back in the day at a store called Pay and Save. I believe it was a Seattle area-based store back in the day. It's no longer here, of course. And this is what we have left, is this box, which I'm surprised that they kept it in the box. I mean, it's a good way to store it, I suppose. You just don't see stuff like this when you find unique fixtures like this. So, on the front of the packaging here, obviously we have a picture of what looks to be a sunflower. It's got all the leaves on it there. It's happy to be growing under the Sylvania Gro Lux Plant Grower Light. On the side of the box here, we have the same exact thing in a little bit better color condition. Of course, the box is beat a little bit. There's nothing on the bottom there. On the other side, we have the same stuff. And I believe on this end, we get some information. So let's see here. We obviously have one fixture, 120 volt. Its catalog number is GL-1302. 2-foot Gro Lux fixture, complete with lamp, GTE Sylvania. And there's its other, I'm guessing, internal catalog number, and GTE Sylvania here on the other end. I wasn't able to find much information about this fixture online. The only thing that I could find is an advertisement that someone's selling on eBay for this fixture. It just talks about how GTE, the telephone company, is teaming up with Sylvania. They got it, whatever, and they're producing grow lights now. I don't know what else to say about it, really, other than it talks about, you know, the standard pink grow lights that you see here with the blue and red spectrum, and that it helps your plants grow. So, there's not much information on this. If anybody has an idea of what year this may have been produced, let me know in the comments down below. As always, you know, if you have any information, please leave it down there. Knowledge is always accepted here. Okay. So, here is the packaging. You can kind of see the fixture in there. Let's see what we have inside. So we have two extruded aluminum pieces here. Looks like they have some little dents or bumps there in the middle, but just some extruded aluminum. And then if we pull this out, we should find the fixture itself. Now I have taken this out of here after getting it at the Restore just to make sure that the thing works, and it does. And there's some things in the bottom of the box here, so let me pull those out as well. So this appears to be the feet, would be my guess. And they got the holes there to screw it together. And someone was nice enough to at least put everything back into a little baggie here for us. So we'll put this back together. They have a tack in there. I wonder what that was for. Maybe to help hold the cord up on the wall or something. I don't know. But we'll put the stand together in a second. Obviously, we're all here for this fixture. So here it is. Let me get this cardboard out of the way. It's a little dusty. It's definitely been in storage for a hot minute. And we have some clamps here on the side. I believe it just uses friction to hold itself onto these stands. Maybe that's what that little dot's for. It's to keep it from falling too far. I don't know. We have an on-off switch here on the fixture itself. And of course our cord here. Ballast compartment. And when we flip this thing over, you'll see what makes this a little bit more special. Look at this bulb. Do you notice anything unique about it? It's got like gold or brass end caps. I want to say I've seen that before, but on their VHO bulbs with the, you know, the either bi-pin or the slimline with the single pin. I don't remember, but I want to say I've seen bulbs like this from Sylvania with these fancy gold ends on it in a more high intensity offering. Now, There we go. We're back to the high intensity that we were talking about on the front of the packaging. So this bulb obviously has some hours on it. You can see some end blackening here and some blackening from the heat and dirt and all that. If we take this out, it's a standard bi-pin lamp, and it is the same length as a standard F20 T12. But this is an F30 T12 lamp. It is a special Gro lamp. It's their 700 series, Gro Lux Sylvania lamp here. But they call it an F30 T12. Look at that. It's not the length. I'm guessing it's the high intensity again. And the high intensity is that it pushes more watts through it. Now, that might just be a whole gimmick because we will open this up and see what kind of ballast is inside. And this might run at a standard 20-watt bulb, you know, and they just put F30 on it to make you feel like it's 30 watt, or just so you don't put a standard bulb in it. I don't know. We'll investigate further, but this is the bulb that is in the fixture. Now, speaking of that unique bulb, we have some information here. It says, replace only with F30 T12 Gro 700 lamp and FS Gro 30 watt starter, Sylvania GL 1302, 118 watt, 60 hertz. So, what is up with that? Is there a special starter here too? Well, apparently there is. This is a Sylvania FS Gro starter. It's 30 watt Gro Lux lamp. Now, again, is there anything special with this? Is it just a standard, you know, FS2 starter, and Sylvania called it a FS Gro starter? I'm not sure. We'll have to see again, once we open this up, what's inside. But we do have our starter socket here. Gotta love that. Gotta love preheat. But, you know, I can't get it in there right now. Forget it. Because we need it out to take this cover off. Now, I originally picked it up because I was like, you know, this would be a really cool kind of like hanging shop light with an F20 T12 bulb in it. But it seems to be a little bit more interesting than that. And there's no screws to get this thing off. As you can see, there's little tabs here that are holding the reflector assembly onto the rest of the fixture. So we're going to have to peel up or bend these tabs or pull them apart in such a way that we can get this cover off. And I'm not really sure the best way to go about that, other than if we take a flathead screwdriver and maybe get it underneath there somehow to bend these up. But I will investigate and I will be back. We have freed the reflector from the housing. So let's see if we can maybe pull it towards us or something. Well, this is going to be annoying. Maybe we do have to do both sides. Maybe I can bend it up a bit. I'm really hoping we can just slide it out. To see what is in here. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere. Of course they did this because, you know, they don't want you opening it anyway. There we go. It is free. What is inside? Well, we do have a ballast, and I would say it looks slightly larger than a standard F20 T12, but it's riveted in there, so I'm going to see if I can get a close look and see if there's any information on this thing at all. Okay, so I couldn't find any way to read this without removing the ballast from the fixture, so I drilled out the old rivets, and we finally have some information. Here is our ballast. This is a Robertson Transformer Company, catalog number 02060-4. You can barely see it under that blob of whatever. It's for one F29 T12 Gro /700 lamp, 0.70 amps, 118 volts, 60 hertz. So, this ballast was designed specifically for this style of bulb. Now, it does say F29 instead of F30. And if they did F29, it would be a little less confusing when you're going to the hardware store and you tell the guy, hey, I need an F30 T12 bulb. And then he gives you one that's 3 foot instead of 2 foot. I mean, you could tell them it's a grow bulb, but interesting. So, we're definitely going to have to try this fixture, not only with the grow bulb, but also a standard F20 T12 bulb, and see if it over or underdrives it. With that information, there is the inside of the fixture. We have some pretty standard sockets here otherwise. We have just our standard switch. It's literally just soldered in there. Again, it wasn't made or intended to be opened up by the end user. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here and clean this up a little bit. I will remount the ballast in here with some nuts and bolts. We'll clean up the sockets, clean up the bulb, and we'll assemble our little T-bars here. And by the time I come back in a second, we will have this thing ready to demonstrate. So I literally got this thing back together. I was going to plug it in just to make sure that we're all good. And of course, we have to have something that breaks. So we're going to have to make a new solution here for the switch. And unfortunately, I have to take this cover off again. Well, personally, I see this as an upgrade. We went from a terrible sliding switch to a very nice pull chain here. So it was a little hard to get it to fit because, you only have so much room in there for it. I was originally going to put it here on the end, but that wasn't going to fit, so I put it on the reflector, and that passes the bulb just right. So now that we have an appropriate switch, which is so much better, let's go ahead and demonstrate this thing. Here it is all together with its stand and all. Of course, the fixture just kind of holds on with these friction fit spring-loaded clamp things, and of course its base here. So that's pretty cool. Of course, we got our bulb inside there with our wonderful pull chain switch. So let's go ahead and plug in our non-polarized plug. It looks like it's already on. So there's our pretty typical pinky blue, purple, red, all the above, all the different spectrums you need for your plants. It's all there. Let's turn the lights off and get a little bit more detailed information. With all the lights off, it certainly gives off some pretty colors here. Of course, we got a unique spectrum going on. Speaking of spectrums, let's go ahead and see what we get. Oh, it'd be good if I turned it to the right setting. There we go. And then, of course, we get one right up next to the lamp for good measure. So, here is our readings. We are at 119.6 volts, 0.7 amps, exactly what the ballast said, 43.1 watts, interesting, and a power factor of 0.51. Interesting wattage there. It's really driving that lamp. Okay, we still have some things to do. What happens if we put an F20 T12 bulb in here? Well, I got some end-of-life ones. Let's see if we can turn them on. This bulb has burnt out cathodes on, I don't know if it's both ends or just one end. I don't know if it'll start, but we're going to give it a try. Here we go. Yeah, with those cathodes broken, that's not going to do anything. Let's get a different bulb. We got a nothing special F20 T12 bulb here. Let's get it in the fixture. Let's turn it on. It's on really fast. And it's, well, the ballast definitely has a different noise to it. It's a bright F20 T12, that is for sure. Well, let's see what it's doing. So we're at 119.3 volts, 0.68 amps, 42.8 watts it's pushing through this lamp. My goodness. Now, obviously, we do have some ballast loss here, but I don't think there'd be 22 watts of ballast loss. My goodness. We are definitely hammering this bulb, I think. Yeah, 42 watts out of this fixture. Goodness gracious. And because we can, let's just get a spectrum from the cool white bulb. The spectrum of the Gro Lux bulb from the table. the spectrum of the Gro Lux bulb up close, the spectrum of the 20-watt cool white bulb on the Gro Lux fixture, and the 20-watt cool white bulb on its original ballast, the CRI of the Gro Lux bulb on the table, up close, the cool white bulb on the Gro Lux fixture, and the cool white bulb on its original intended ballast, the white balance of the Gro Lux bulb from the table, from up close, the cool white bulb on the Gro Lux fixture, and the cool white bulb on its original intended ballast. For the sake of comparing here, it's not the same F20T12 bulb, but it is an F20T12 bulb in a single ballasted fixture. Obviously, there's two bulbs where you have one of them running on a single ballast. So let's see what we get there. We're at 119.1 volts, 0.33 amps, 24.9 watts, and a power factor of 0.63. So we're definitely putting an extra 20 watts of strain on this bulb. The Gro Lux bulb is the same size, diameter, and length as a standard F20T12. It just has a different power rating. But it's a very unique bulb for an F30T12 Gro Lux here. As you could see too, when we compared it to a standard F20T12 in length a second ago, the phosphor on this is very degraded. It's very darkened, and it's not a perfect white anymore. But it works perfectly fine. And it certainly is a very unique fixture. As always, I do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to give it a like down below and leave a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more great videos like this one. Also check out my secondary channel Merkove and subscribe over there for more behind the scenes and alternative content. Of course, check out the other videos here on this screen, and as always, thank you very much for watching.